Joining us now is Scott Jennings, CNN political commentator and former special assistant to President George W. Bush. Scott, thank you so much for being with us this morning to talk about this. I mean, what do you make of this Scalise apologizing to Gates?
Well, obviously, this whole issue has roiled the House Republican Conference over the last few days, and the Republican leadership, McCarthy, Gates, and others said things that made angry people like Gates and others who were in that wing of the party. So I'm not surprised that the leaders, in this case Scalise, had to have a few meetings. I don't think it is going to necessarily upend their apple cart as it relates to being at the head of the conference. I don't like, frankly, the idea that Steve Scalise, who himself has been the victim of a violent political act, is out having to, apologize to someone who's been rather incendiary. Also, what I find interesting about this is that Gates has, even before all this, made no secret of his displeasure with leadership. I mean, he was out pushing Donald Trump for House Speaker, just a few weeks ago, clearly indicating he wants somebody else at the top of the conference. So I guess I see, Brianna, this meeting as a way for them to try to placate Gates and put this behind them. But obviously, Gates isn't someone who's going to go quietly on any occasion.
The fact that they think they need to placate Gates, Scott, what does that tell you about where the power is right now in the Republican Congressional Caucus, or at least where the leadership thinks it might be?
Well, I think the leadership is obviously trying, and they have these issues flare up all the time, John. You have these moments, some are important, some aren't, some are big, some are small, but these moments where they're constantly tangling with this wing of the conference. And so the leadership is constantly playing whack-a-mole with these guys. I see Scalise doing that in this particular case. And I guess they'll have to do it for the rest of the year, until the elections come and Republicans maybe win the House, and then they'll have the leadership elections. But until that moment, until that day that those votes are secure, it sounds like their strategy is to try to placate and keep these guys quiet long enough to get through the next set of leadership elections.
I want to play something that Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene said about the Catholic Church, and at the risk of playing this, but this is important to watch because this is what has a lot of Catholics and those affiliated with the Catholic Church upset. Here's what she said.
What it is that Satan's controlling the church. The church is not doing its job. What they're doing by saying, oh, we have to love these people and take care of these migrants and love one another. This is loving one another. Yes, we are supposed to love one another, but their definition of what love one another means destroying our laws.
She's talking about immigration. She's saying that the Catholic Church, which, as we know, a lot of charities affiliated with the Catholic Church provide services for migrants who are coming in. What do you think about these comments and how this is going to play for her?
Well, I think for her, it's probably going to, play well. I mean, the kind of people who are attracted to Marjorie Taylor Greene probably think this is great, which is really unfortunate. I mean, if you're talking about love and unconditional love as it's prescribed by the Christian faith, there is no but, right? We have to love one another, but. No, there is no but. We have to love one another. That's the mandate from Jesus to the church. And so she really needs to rethink, I think, the syntax of her of her arguments here. I mean, look, there's a legitimate debate to be had about immigration. The Republicans obviously think Joe Biden's making it worse, and the Democrats have thoughts about the way the Republicans handle it. There's a political debate to be had here. But this isn't politics. This is the church, and they have a job to do as mandated by their God and the texts and the mandates of what that means over the centuries. And so I don't think this is going to play well with a larger audience. I think for some people who are attracted to this kind of rhetoric, it's obviously, been her brand, and I don't approve of it. Catholics, by the way, interestingly, if you're interested in the political analysis, split almost dead even in the 2020 election. I think Trump got like 50% and Biden got 49%. So it's a really it's a group. It's not like evangelicals who went almost all Republican. Catholics are really a split group, and so if you're looking for the political analysis out of it, it's a group of people who've really been up for grabs in recent elections.
Yeah, and I'm not sure name-checking Satan is the best way to reach their hearts, which is what she just did there, Scott. And again, in purely a political sense, wasn't she standing behind Kevin McCarthy at the border? I mean, if you're wondering about inside the Republican caucus whether or not this will help or hurt her, I mean, don't we already have the answer at this point? Because McCarthy has more or less welcomed her back.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're back to the conversation we just had about Gates, where there's a group of these people that they're constantly trying to manage. And what we've learned time and again is you can't manage it. I mean, there's no managing these folks. They're never gonna do it the way McCarthy and Scalise and those guys want them to do it, which is to try to, be less incendiary, try not to be dominating news cycles every day with crazy rhetoric like this. So they've chosen a path to try to, keep them under control as best they can. It's obviously not working most days. But again, for the leaders, they're trying to get to November, and then they're trying to get to January, and these guys are making their lives challenging every single day.
Yeah, look, we'll see. They're making a lot of bets here. We'll see if these people end up backing them, if there are leadership votes, because I'm not sure there's any guarantee of that when push comes to shove.
Scott, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We always appreciate having you on.
Good to be with you all. Thank you, John, for coming back to work, by the way. Glad to see you're healthy.
I heard you'd be here. It was enough to get me out of my hospital bed. Thanks, Scott.